Yes guys, welcome to the video. I'm going to be explaining the 19 mistakes that I made through setting, and genuinely in the last 2-3 years I've easily lost out on 10k in commissions, over 5 figures, just from being an idiot and making all of these mistakes. So if you guys are currently on your setting journey, you're wanting to get into setting, whatever it might be, once you finish watching this video you'll know the exact mistakes to avoid so you can just make way more money and make way more commission. So let's get straight into it. Number one is going to be convincing instead of qualifying. What a lot of amateur sales reps do, or when people, are at the start of their journey, they'll just try and book anybody onto a call and they just try and hard sell everybody. But this is not what we want to do at all. The same way if you went to the doctors with a problem and they started giving you random medicine, you're going to just think they're an idiot and you're going to completely lose trust. They'll lose credibility. It's exactly the same with sales. We don't want to sell something to somebody unless they genuinely need it and they'd benefit from it. The number one problem is that I'm seeing is sales reps at the start, they get commission breath. They only care about the money. They don't care about if they're actually going to help somebody out, and a prospect consensus from a mile off. So ask powerful questions, genuinely find out, do they need this? Do they need the service? Will it help them? Because if you're going to sell something to someone who doesn't really need it, one, they're not going to get good results themselves, the business won't get good testimonials, and the business won't grow in general. And if you're putting calls through where people aren't that bothered or they don't genuinely need the help, are they actually going to pay £3,000, £5,000, £10,000 for a product? Probably not. So I promise you'll make way more money if you have the intentions of actually helping people and wanting them to do well for themselves. So that's the number one mistake that I'm seeing, is people just trying to hard sell and not properly qualifying people. Number two, not having any acknowledgement in the DMs. See, when you're chatting to people, you want to find out their pain points, find out their problems, why they genuinely need to buy this, why they want to buy this. So you're going to want them to open up in the DMs. Now, if someone's telling you something, yeah, I've been overweight for the last 3 years, I'm extremely depressed, I want to do this, and you're answering questions with, yeah, calm, and then asking them another one, or, yeah, I get that, bro, or whatever it is, with no acknowledgement, if you're not relating to the person, they're just going to think you're a robot, and they're not actually going to open up to you. So in the DMs, if you genuinely want to get pain out of people, which is what is required in order to sell a high-ticket product or service, then you need to, be as human as possible, acknowledge everything they're saying, be down to earth and relate to them, otherwise they're not even going to open up to you and you'll make no money. Number three is going to be booking in anybody just to hit targets. So here's a little story. When I worked on a fitness account, this guy was really well followed, he was a bit of a mogger himself, all of the women fancied him. But at this point, I just joined the account and I just thought, I want to book in calls, I want to show I'm actually good at this. So genuinely, in about the first day, 10 women have asked for a call with this guy. I booked in 10 women on the first day. Boom, straight away. I'm thinking, I'm the top G, I'm a sick sales rep, I'm getting all of these bookings. Next thing I know, I get a call from the offer owner saying, bro, the last 3 calls you've booked in, they've all asked to marry me, they all fancy me, they're not interested in buying a fitness program, like, what are you doing? You just wasted so much of my time. And I nearly got fired on my first day. Well, in my first week, in fact, from literally just booking in anybody's try and hit targets. Now, what you guys should be doing is properly qualifying people. Don't just book in anybody for the sake of it, because we don't care about the number of bookings. We care about the money that we're making. We care about the close rate. We care about the show-up rate. These things are so important. So, yeah, that's a big mistake I made, is just booking anybody in. So make sure you're actually qualifying people properly and you'll make so much more money. Number 4 is going to be asking closed questions instead of open questions. Now, this might seem pretty obvious, but if you genuinely want to, once again, get pain out of people, get people's goals, really understand people in the DMs, you want them to open up as much as possible. And to do this, you need to ask open-ended questions. So many people just mess up the whole conversation by asking closed-ended questions, something where they can only really say yes or no. They're not going to be able to give you anything. And without information and being able to get information out of anybody, yeah, you're not going to be able to sell them. You're not going to be able to understand what their goals actually are. So it's very, very simple. Ask open-ended questions and you'll make so much more money. Number 5 is going to be not picking up on flaky language. Now, what I mean by this, if you're going to, book someone in for a call and you say, we've got 6 p.m. or 8 p.m. on Wednesday, which one works better for yourself? And they say, yeah, I can maybe make 8 p.m. I used to just let that kind of stuff slide when I started. I didn't really think much of it. I thought, yeah, they'll probably turn up then. But if you're ignoring this language in the DMs, like maybe, or I might try and make that, or yeah, I can possibly make it, or it's kind of a priority for me right now, you need to challenge them on that. You need to actually ask them, is this genuinely a priority for you right now? We only work with people who, genuinely want this and need to do this. Otherwise, it's not going to be a good fit. We want to work with people who are going to put 100% effort in, and you want to, have that authority. So when you're in the DMs, you need to pick up on flaky language as much as possible. Otherwise, your show up rate is going to be terrible. If you're booking in 10 calls and you've got a 30% show up rate, 3 people are showing up, then yeah, it's not going to be a very good look for you, and you're probably not going to be on the offer for very long. So stop taking people's word for it and challenge them in the DMs. Make sure they are actually serious. Number 6 kind of ties into this, but it's not challenging prospects' beliefs. Now, what I mean by this is, if someone's saying, yeah, I'm overweight, I've been overweight for 2 years, but I've got a thyroid issue, or they're saying, yeah, I genuinely have tried, but I just can't lose weight, or whatever it's going to be, you can't just take that for an answer, because a lot of the time these people are going to be chatting shit, they're going to be delusional, and you're going to need to try and reframe their mind in the DMs by asking them powerful questions to see if they've actually been trying, if they genuinely believe other people out there have done it, have achieved these things, who are in a similar position to them. So you need to start challenging people. For example, if you're selling someone onto an offer, or someone's going to be purchasing something where they're going to be making more money, and they say to you, no, everything out there's a scam, like, yeah, it's a lot of things dodgy, so I've not taken any action. We want to challenge that. We need to challenge these limiting beliefs in the DMs, because if they say something to you and you're not challenging it, they're going to walk all over you. They're probably not going to turn up to a call because they're just going to have no respect for you. So yeah, a massive thing that's super important is challenging prospects' beliefs in the DMs. Don't just let them walk all over you, otherwise they're not going to book in for calls and you're not going to make as much money. Number 7, this is a huge one that I was extremely guilty of. It's neglecting follow-ups. You should be following up with a prospect at least 7 times. If they don't book in and you've not followed up with them at least 7 times, then it's completely your fault. And you're probably thinking, Jack, 7 times is absolutely ridiculous, but it's not. You guys need to remember, every time you follow up with someone, if they've not changed the situation which they don't like, you're planting another seed. They're going to be realizing, okay, cool, let's say someone's overweight. You mess them, talking about their fitness journey. They ignore you again and again and again. 2 months later, you're still following up with them and they're thinking, oh, wait, damn, I actually am still overweight. I really don't like my life. Maybe this guy's got a point. Maybe I should get on a call with them. And they might go and spend, 3 or 4 grand on a fitness program, which completely changes their life that they weren't even going to do, because you didn't follow up with them. It's as simple as that. 90% of the money is in the follow-ups. And that is because you want to be messaging people who are close to booking on. If you're going to chat to a fresh lead who's you've only got the conversation started, they're going to be a lot colder than someone who you've had a full conversation with. They've asked loads of questions. They might not have been sure in that moment, but if you can book them onto a call, you'll make so much more money. So stop thinking, oh, it's beggy, I look desperate, whatever it's like. Just follow up with them. Drop the ego and follow up with them. I promise you'll make so much more money. Number 8 is going to be neglecting the post-booking sequence. So once you book someone in, lots of DM setters think their job's done. If you've had a conversation with someone and booked them in, the conversation isn't done. You need to make sure you're nurturing them before the call. So once you book them in for a call, you want to confirm it with them, make sure they can turn up, the time works for them, all that kind of stuff. Depending on the offer that you're on, you want to be sending them, pre-call assets or like videos, these kind of things, to just further nurture them, further warm them up to make sure they genuinely are interested. You can send them over testimonials, keep the conversation warm, treat them like a human, build a proper relationship with them and build rapport. Because if you genuinely have a good conversation with someone, they're going to have to be quite a horrible person to not actually show up for the call if you genuinely built a good relationship with them. But if you just book them in and the call's 5 days later, they'll probably forget about, their pain points, why they even wanted to do it in the first place. So you need to nurture these people. You need to make sure they genuinely, want to jump on the call and they trust you. So yeah, make sure you're actually doing the post-booking sequence properly. And once again, your show-up rate will be so much better and you'll make way more money. And if you need to, if the show-up rate's really poor, you can change a few things around. It might be the positioning, these kind of things. But as a setter, you can just ask the offer owner, like, can I triage these leads? Can I call them? Can I make sure they're, the time works for them? Build up some excitement. Make sure that authority is being built as well. And yeah, your show-up rate should increase massively. So yeah, that's another mistake that I was making, was just neglecting the follow-up process. Your job is not done until they've joined the call. Number 9, this is going to be brushing past objections. So what you guys need to remember, if you're in the DMs with someone and they say, for example, you're going to be getting someone onto a program where they're going to pay money to make money, and they say, I've not really done anything in the past just because like a lot of it looks like a scam, like I'm not too sure. If you just brush over that and say, yeah, that's fine, mate, like and ask them another question. By the time it gets onto the call, you've not handled an objection. You're just absolutely cooking the closer. Whereas if you just handle it in the DMs, it's going to be so much easier for the closer. Your job is to make the closer's closing call easier for them, not harder. So we're going to kind of have objections like a bomb. If you don't diffuse that in the DMs, then it's going to explode on the closing call. It's as simple as that. So make sure you're actually handling objections, not just brushing past them, because that's something I was guilty of at the start. So yeah, make sure you're handling all the objections. Don't let anything slide in the DMs at all. Number 10 is going to be speaking too much and not matching the prospect's tone. So, if someone sticks on you in the DMs and they're giving you objections, don't just shit yourself and just over-explain and just just say loads to them. You want to actually remain calm, hold that authority, and just handle the objection and move back into the framework that you're using. So the mistake that a lot of people make is, you kind of want to pretend if you were speaking to a girl and they were sending you one line, you wouldn't send 3 paragraphs, you wouldn't write essays, because one, they're just going to think you're an idiot, you're beggy, you care way too much, and you're going to come across as needy. You want to be matching what the prospect's saying. So, the conversation length, just as like a rough guide, match sort of the length of conversation they're giving you. And if you're thinking, Jack, they're not saying much, like they're barely opening up, just ask open-ended questions then. You don't need to write paragraphs and paragraphs over explaining. Just match their tone, match how they're coming across, match their language as well. Just match them as much as you need. Number 11 is going to be not using AI properly. So what I mean by this, when I started, I'll be honest, I was a bit lazy. I remember working on the offers, and I'll just copy and paste things into ChatGPT, Claude, whatever it's going to be. And I remember pasting paragraphs into the DMs with just dashes, like so many dashes. And it was pretty obvious with ChatGPT, when you copy and paste something, they just put some random punctuation in there, dashes, these kind of things. And it got to a point where the prospects were like, haha, am I actually chatting to the offer owner, or is this AI? Like, what is this? This sounds like a bot, haha, these kind of things. And that just completely kills the lead. We're already in a trust recession. People aren't trusting things. So if you sound like AI or a bot, you're just going to completely cook the lead. So the only thing with AI, you can use it for acknowledgement. If someone's sending you paragraphs and paragraphs and you want help with acknowledgement, you can use AI, but use it smartly. Don't just copy and paste. You will absolutely cook the leads, and you will not make anywhere near as much money that you basically should be making. So use AI properly if you're going to do that. Okay, number 12. Honestly, so many reps make this mistake, is staying loyal to a bad offer. Now, we all understand, the grass is greener where you water it, of course. However, if you're on an offer, and especially in an interview, they're saying, yes, you might make £500 next month on the offer, but I promise you, you'll be making 10k in 6 months. Guys, sales is only about 20-30% of the offer, right? The other 70-80% is going to come down to marketing. If you're on a terrible offer, don't just grind it out for ridiculous amount of times, because I see it happen so many times. People will be on a shit offer for 6 months to a year, and they'll just think setting's dead. They just will think it's terrible. Whereas if you just properly analyze the offer, give it your best shot, do as much as you physically can, and then move from the offer. If you genuinely milk the offer as much as possible, you've given it your best shot, don't stay loyal to it for ages just because you feel bad for the offer owner or you like the closer. We're all in this for money, right? You want to make as much cash as possible. Move from offer to offer, milk the offer, then move off of it. Because a lot of people, including myself, will stay loyal to an offer, whereas you're kind of just capping yourself with income. Move on to a new offer. And another thing I'd say about this might be frowned upon, but if you're going to be on an offer and you're not sure if the next offer is going to be better, just get them both. Just do them both at the same time. Just work a stupid amount of hours for a week, juggle them both, pick whichever one you think is going to be better, and just move off it. Say to the offer owner, look, I really appreciate the opportunity, but I found something that's a better fit for myself. Like, no hard feelings, let's stay in touch. They won't care. They'll get another setter. So kind of be selfish with your time and the energy that you're putting into things as well. Make sure you're not being too loyal to an offer. Number 13, not building a schedule around an offer. So when I started DM setting, obviously you're doing it for the freedom, you're doing it for the money, but if you know that you're selling to a US offer and you're only being active in UK times, obviously you're going to be being an idiot then, but if you know all the leads are going to be replying at 6 a.m, wake up at 6 a.m, do whatever you need to make the most money. Stop being like, I'm just going to completely do it on my own schedule. Figure out when the prospect's going to be most active and base your schedule around that, because realistically, you're only going to be doing DM setting because you want to make a lot of money online. So maximize the profits you can make. Build a schedule around the offer. If you know you have to be up at 6 a.m to do the things, base gym around that as well. Base your days around that and you'll make so much more money. Okay, this is a big one. not watching the offer owner's content. What you guys need to remember is people are chatting, when people message an offer owner, and if they're not in the space themselves, they will genuinely think that they're chatting to the offer owner, like, most of the time. So if you're English and you're speaking on an offer owner's account who's from the US, they'll use different language to you. And if you start speaking like a guy from the UK and they think they're chatting to a guy from the US, for example, you'll completely lose trust. They'll start to think you're not the offer owner, you're not the actual person they want to be speaking to. So a little trick that you can do is just basically go to the offer owner's account, go to their reels, and just doom scroll their account for like hours. See how much content they've got. Watch their YouTube videos. Watch whatever you can. Watch as much content as you physically can from the offer owner, and start understanding the language that they use. Start understanding their story, how they think, a bit about themselves. So then when people ask questions, you're not having to message them saying, "Hey," on a fitness offer, for example, they'd always message saying like, "How tall are you?" Random bullshit like that, and I won't have a clue. Or they'd be asking like, "When did you start getting into, fitness?" And I won't even know. So you need to study the offer owner as much as possible. Watch their content. Right, this kind of ties into the last one, but you, as an appointment setter, you need to be watching the offer owner's closing calls or the closer's closing calls if they've, got a closer on board. That's because if right, on the last 10 closing calls, they were all financial objections, they don't have enough money, you can easily cut that out in the DMs. Make sure you're properly financially qualifying people. Get the offer owner to add a type form in once they've booked in. Whatever it might be to help you, properly qualify leads, just do it. So, figure out what objections the closer's getting and put them to rest basically in the DMs. Make sure you're sorting that out, and just, collectively as a team, you'll make so much more money. So make sure you're actually watching the offer owners calls, see what objections they get, study the way they talk as well. Number 16, not treating the offer like your own. It kind of ties back into what I was saying before, but your job is not done just with setting. If you can, look at their content, message the offer owner. If it was your offer, you'd be putting out more stories, you'd be putting out more polls, you'd be putting out more content, you'd be reviewing all the sales calls, you'll be reviewing the sales team, you'll make sure you're on top of all the KPIs. So if you actively start thinking like that as an appointment setter, you can go to the offer owner, "Hey, we got loads of really good leads in when you posted this bit of content. I'd really appreciate it if you post more of that." Or, "Hey, I saw on the closing call, one of the closers, you did this. Like, maybe I could stop that for you by fixing that in the DMs." Just look at the whole process, manage the whole pipeline, take control, and I promise you, once again, you'll make so much more cash, so much more money. Especially, if you guys want progression and you want to build out your own offer in the future, you want to be a closer, you want to be a growth op, whatever it is. If you just only act like a setter, you'll always be in that setting mindset where you should understand the whole offer, the whole business model, and it will fast track all of your progress in the future if you genuinely want to go into building a business or building something for yourself. Number 17, being emotionally attached to the money. This will absolutely kill you, because what I started, to catch myself doing, I'd get a few bookings at the start of the week and I kind of chill out a bit. I'd kind of relax and think, well, if 2 of those calls go through, then I can make, £400 or £500. And that's what I used to do in my old warehouse job a week. So I guess I can relax now. And then when they wouldn't go through, I'd be gutted. Whereas if you genuinely just focus on the inputs every single day, then the money will follow. The money will follow. If you can get really nerdy, really focused on the inputs, making sure you're doing all the messages each day, the follow-ups, you're booking in high quality calls, you'll make so much more money. So stop being so emotionally attached to the money, and the money will just follow. Number 18, not having a North Star. Now, what I mean by this is every single time you're in the sales space, you should be thinking, why am I doing this right now? Now, what I mean by that is a lot of you aren't in the sales space to just make 5K a month, 10K a month from setting. A lot of you will, want to build your own business, be a closer, get to 20K a month, 30K a month, even 50K a month. And you're not really going to stay motivated if you're making 2K a month as a setter and you're not really thinking about why you're doing this. Why are you putting these hard hours in? Why are you grafting? Why are you, genuinely putting the work in? So you should be thinking, what can I do to better my skill set at every single point you're at? Because we both know, you can make good money DM setting, but if you want to go up to be a closer, you should probably move from DM setting to dialing. Because if you start dialing, you'll get so much more confidence whilst chatting to people. You'll understand how to objection handle in real time, do it quickly. So at every single level, you should be thinking, what skill set do I need to improve to get to the next level? Then when you're closing, if you want to have your own offer, you should start learning about marketing, you start learning about fulfillment, whatever it might be. So just make sure you have a North Star and you have a reason why you're doing it and what the next stages you want to get to. Because if you're thinking, holy shit, this is hard work, I don't want to be doing this anymore, it will keep you motivated, it will keep you disciplined if you have, a path and a plan in place. Right, mistake number 19. This is what, a lot of people say, and this is something I learnt myself as well. You need to create some sort of competition. So I was fortunate enough to start the whole setting process with my business partner now, Lewis. When we started, it's so good to have someone you're competing with, someone who you start with at the same time, because I know if he makes, £2,000 in a week and I've only done £500, for example, I'm going to be fuming. I'm going to, keep on pushing myself, and you need someone there pushing you, because, you might be thinking, Jack, why can't you just push yourself and be disciplined? Yeah, of course you can, but you might as well put yourself in an environment where it's hard to fail. And I genuinely believe the best thing you can do to actually create that environment is having people around you who are, just as hardworking as you, if not better than you at what you're doing. So create some competition, whether it's with people in your sales team, people in your mentorship. And if you're not in a mentorship, join one. Join a community of like-minded people. And if you don't know anyone in it, network. Start chatting to everyone. Bring your friends in, people you genuinely think would do well. And you'll make so much more money if you're actively in a competition every single day. So yeah, guys, these were the 19 mistakes that I personally made. If you fix up and get all these 19 things right, I promise you'll make so much more money on these offers that you're on, and you'll save so much time that I was wasting just through trial and error. So yeah, guys, hopefully you found this video useful. This was just, quick 19 mistakes that I personally made for appointment setting. But yeah, thanks for watching the video.